A blockbuster case in the U.S. Supreme Court today. The justices heard arguments over whether Donald Trump has absolute immunity from criminal charges that he plotted to subvert the 2020 election. The final decision will be a major statement on the scope of presidential power. But Trump couldn't attend that hearing because he faces other legal hurdles like his criminal hush money case in New York. And that's where we begin tonight. Donald Trump meeting and greeting with supporters in New York City as he returned to court for the third day of witness testimony.
It's election interference. This whole thing is election interference.
Veteran tabloid publisher and Trump's longtime friend David Pecker took the stand again after previously testifying that he would be the eyes and ears of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Today's testimony heard more about the cover-up of Trump's alleged affair with Playboy model Karen McDougal. After meeting with Trump and Cohen, Pecker said he negotiated to buy McDougal's story for $150,000. That was 5 months before the election. Pecker said he believed he would be reimbursed by the Trump Organization or Trump himself, but ultimately he never was.
And Donald Trump really wasn't reacting. Quite honestly, he was sitting there at times, sometimes conferring with his attorney, but he was mostly just sitting back in his chair like this with his eyes shut, sort of taking in word by word how Pecker was testifying and what he was testifying to.
Pecker went on to say that Trump thanked him for handling the matter with McDougal and testified that he reassured Trump she was keeping quiet. But things changed after a Wall Street Journal article was published shortly before the 2016 election.
We have new reporting that shows his direct involvement leading up to the 2016 election.
Trump calls David Pecker and tells him to quash the allegations.
This is the retainer agreement between Karen McDougal and her attorney.
Our reporting shows that this deal was also orchestrated by Trump.
Pecker recalled an irate Donald Trump calling him after the article broke the news of the Enquirer's $150,000 payment to McDougal. Pecker testified Donald Trump was very upset, saying, "How could this happen? I thought you had this under control. Either you or one of your people leaked the story." Then there was this CNN interview.
So the sex was consensual?
It was consensual, yes. Did I see him quite a few times, quite a bit? Absolutely. We spent a lot of time together. I'm not out to make money on this. I'm out to get my rights back, to prove a contract was illegal, that I was taken advantage of, and then go back to my life, period.
Pecker said his call with Trump ended abruptly. As Trump sat in court, there was another high-profile case being heard about him.
I think that the Supreme Court has a very important argument before it today. I would have loved to have been there, but this judge would not allow that to happen. I should be there, but he wouldn't allow it to happen. I think he puts himself above the Supreme Court.
No one is above the law. Well, the Supreme Court is deciding if that includes Trump while he was president. The top court heard arguments in Washington, D.C. today over whether Trump should be immune from prosecution for actions he took during his time as president. The audio has been released to the public.
If a president can be charged, put on trial, and imprisoned for his most controversial decisions as soon as he leaves office, that looming threat will distort the president's decision-making precisely when bold and fearless action is most needed.
But Trump's lawyer, John Sauer, admitted that some of Trump's actions after the 2020 election were not likely to fall under immunity.
We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
If someone with those kinds of powers, the most powerful person in the world, with the greatest amount of authority, could go into office knowing that there would be no potential penalty for committing crimes, I'm trying to understand what the disincentive is from turning the Oval Office into, the seat of criminal activity in this country.
Justices appear to be skeptical about the idea overall, and it seemed increasingly unlikely the court would offer a clear answer on whether Trump may be prosecuted for his effort to overturn the 2020 election.
So I heard the meeting was quite amazing, and the justices were on their game. So let's see how that all turns out.
How the court decides the case could not only determine Trump's legal fate, but will likely set the rules of criminal exposure for presidents to come.